Hello and welcome to the SI5 Improvement Podcast, where we bring to you supreme intelligence to self-improvement. With high performance from everyday people, because I truly believe that every single one of you has advice to give, value to share, that the listeners from this podcast can take into our own life, apply and improve. Because when you improve you improve your life. And welcome to the podcast. This episode we have a guest on the podcast today. His name is LEE MORBY-BAGLEY. He's a man who's overcome a health battle that he's had to face. He's faced it, he's overcome it, and now off the back of that, he is moving on with his life with positivity based on the fact of what he went through. So it's a great inspirational story for anybody who's struggling with their health, who may have a health battle that they've got to face coming up. And it's also good advice for those who are actually currently have a clean bill of health, because it shows the importance that even if we think we're healthy, you never know when something's going to suddenly pop out of the blue and whack us in the face. So it's a great message that Lee's got to give us. It's going to be of great benefit for us going forward with our health and our battles that we face in order to turn that negative and use it in a positive way. So let's go back, Lee, to right back to the start of your story, where you I know you saw something on Facebook and that prompted you to act. So tell me about that.
I was literally, I was on the loo doing what you do when you're on the loo. And I was flicking through Facebook as you do. And a little advertisement came up from a local charity called the Gospeltarians Charity. And they were advertising for anyone over the age of 40 to go and get a prostate check. And I literally sat there thinking, oh, why not? And that was it, just, oh, why not? So I had no symptoms, I had no reason to believe that I would have prostate cancer, but I just literally thought, why not? It can't kill me. So I put it in my diary for the day that it was going to be happening down at the local school. And getting your prostate checked isn't what men think it is. It isn't the old finger up the hooter, like a lot of men are scared of. And it isn't that anymore. It's a little simple blood test, which shows it's called a PSA test, and that shows the levels of your blood, which can indicate things that are wrong. So I went along and had this simple blood test. A little pinprick blood test, takes about 10 seconds. And then it came back from that charity that there was an issue. My levels were a bit too high than what they should have been. So I took this letter to the GP, and then he said he did another blood test to confirm what they had found, and which it did. And then I went and had an MRI scan over at the hospital, which then had a visual of what the issue was, and I had prostate cancer. And I didn't know. I was in the very early stages. So it was easily managed, and I went through I had a prostatectomy, I think it's called, where they removed my prostate, and so now I'm free. I'm cancer free. I no longer have prostate cancer, and that was my journey. I mean, and the charity Prostate Cancer UK, they were fantastic throughout that. And I was obviously scared. I mean, we just got over the pandemic. I just spent a couple of years indoors doing nothing, and then to be told I had prostate cancer. And I had to spend some more time indoors. So that's when I decided what I'll do next.
It's I want to go back, Lee, to when you said that when you saw the Facebook post, you thought, why not? Now, I don't know anybody else that would have thought, why not? Like, I think most of us would have probably just seen that and thought, I have no symptoms, I don't feel unwell, there's nothing wrong down there, it's
That's the problem with. I mean, it didn't cost me anything. It didn't cause me anything. It was literally 10 seconds out of my time, and I thought, what harm can it do to just go down and have a look? I mean, this what I'm going to say next sounds really sexist, but it really isn't meant in that way. Women get looked after in this way. Women get their mammograms and their I don't know what the proper term for it, their scrapes out, and that's all done for them. But men get nothing. And lads, we've got to go out there and do it for ourselves because they're not looking after us any other way. So we've got to get out there. And we've got to go and check for ourselves. And that's exactly what I did. And I went and checked for myself when I was only 45 at the time, which is very young for prostate cancer. I mean, and all the way through the process, people were saying to me, "How did you find it?" Because I was younger than everybody else that I was sat in the room with, and then literally pure luck, pure luck. So guys, go and get tested. It doesn't take 10 minutes. It doesn't cost you nothing, and then you know.
First of all, Lee, that it's a really positive mindset that made you think, do you know what? It's free. I've got nothing to lose. It's only a doctor's around the corner. It's a little pinprick. Let's just get it done. Yeah. And that's a real positive move, because without that positive move, who knows what might have happened? He might have caught it too late once the symptoms have started making themselves known.
The Gleason scale is what they measure you on. It's a scale from 0 to, I believe it's 12. I'm not 100%, but I believe it's 12. And I was 9. And so anything above that we're talking serious business. And then if I'd left it over time, that would have crept up and up and up and up. There's only one way that was going. It wasn't going to go and down cure itself. So there's only one way. Because I'd caught it so early, it worked out fantastic for me, because I'll clear and I'm going to live a longer life, which is what we all want.
You know, you said about you caught it. What age were you? 45?
45, yeah.
I know you were saying about the women with they go for regular swipes and things, and I think they get a letter maybe through to say it's now your appointment. Do men get that with prostate cancer once they reach a certain age?
No.
Not at all. Not even when they're in their 60s or 70s. They don't get that at all.
Nothing. Unless you go and check yourself, they won't check for you.
Right.
And so it doesn't hurt. It doesn't take 2 minutes. Literally 2 minutes. It's a 10-minute consultation. I don't know whether you've ever given blood before, but when you give blood, before they do that, they check your iron levels. Right. And all it is, it's like a little auto-injector pen, and they take a little tiny little sample of blood, and then they drop it in water to see if your iron levels in your blood. And it's the same injection. You don't even feel it. It's nothing to be scared of. Just go and get it done, lads.
Do you know what? I know people that they've had symptoms. So you didn't have any symptoms and did this. I know people with symptoms, they're not quite right, and they refuse to go to the doctors because they're worried that they're going to get some fearful results, and so they want to bury their head in the sand even when they've got symptoms.
The word you used there, worried, and they're worried that they're going to find out the results. Well, I would be worried that I don't know.
Yeah.
So the answer is go and find out.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. You're worried if you don't know, because if you don't know, like you say, on that scale of 9, it's going to go up and up and up and up, and before you know it, there's nothing. Yeah, then you will be worried.
You may not have nothing to be worried about, and the only way to find out is to go and get found out.
Yeah, and this could be anything. It could be diabetes check. It could be something smaller. It
could be anything. So there's only one way to find out, lads, and that's to go and find out.
Lee, when you found out, when the doctors told you that they had the results and they found that you did have prostate cancer, how did you feel when they told you that initially?
Shock, and that's what set in first. Shock. Because I thought, wow, I know I went to find out, but actually, wow, I found out. So I came home, My wife was at work. I told my wife first. My parents live in Cyprus, so I kept it from them initially, and then I waited. They because I knew they were due to visit in a couple of weeks, so I waited until then. I let it settle myself first, and I dealt with it personally first, and just me and my family. And then I told my parents, when they visited, great holiday news, welcome home. Guess what? Woo. But they were supportive as well. And then I started telling people, and then I thought, what the hell? Why am I hiding it? So I literally told the world, and anyone that would listen to me, I bend their ear about the same as what I'm bending your ear about if I'm getting yourself tested. Because I think it's so important that men just go and get tested, and that was it. It was, so to answer your question, yeah, shock was initial, but then the realization of I knew it wasn't going to be a death sentence pretty much straight away, because I called it so early. I knew it wasn't a death sentence, so that took a lot of pressure off. And prostate cancer these days, even if it's a further down the line, unless it's at the real trouble end of the process, 9 times out of 10 it can be dealt with. And then there's a prostate cancer support group on Facebook, which I joined pretty much straight away, and they were fantastic. I had any questions for them, any questions I had, they answered pretty much straight away. What to expect when the good part, the hardest parts of dealing with the surgery, what surgery to have, because you're given options. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't have a clue of what the doctors were talking about. I was given 3 options, I believe, and to have it removed was option number 1. Just get in there, get it out, and deal with the after effects of that afterwards. The second one was seeded therapy, which is like a radiotherapy, but they inject seeds onto your prostate, and that shrinks the tumor down to nothing. But then that may fail. So after that, if that fails, then you'll have it removed. I can't quite remember what the third option was. It was just radiotherapy through the skin. So anyway, I thought, well, if option 2 and option 3 fail, I've got to have option 1 anyway. Yeah. So whether that's in 6 months' time, putting myself through 6 months of radiotherapy, whether it's seeded or through with the machine gun thing, I thought, I'm just going to go and cut it out, and that was my choice. It meant I can't have children anymore, but I've got kids coming out of every kitchen door, bedroom. I've got grandchildren.
How many kids have you got?
That's a tough old question. I've got 5 children, 2 from a previous marriage, my wife's previous marriage, and 3 of my own.
Right. And how did they take the news when you told them that you had cancer?
They took pretty well, because my eldest got upset a bit at first, but then they felt the vibe that I was doing, and I filmed it up and say, look, it's nothing to worry about. It's not a death sentence. These are the facts. This is what I'm going to do. And in a year's time, 2 years' time, it's going to be exactly the same. So that's how it was dealt, really. So I think my mother got upset a bit, but then she realised everything's going to be all right. And that was the only time I got upset, was when I told my mother. I think that's the only time really I shed a tear. I mean, I'm quite front facing, and I faced full on.
Yeah, I can imagine. And how did you feel, Lee, once you'd gone through the whole process? I don't know how long it took from the minute you were diagnosed to the minute it was clear, but how did you feel when they told you it's all successful, cancer's gone, clean bit of health?
I remember I put the bell emoji on my Facebook, and because you ring the bell, it's when you're cancer free. That's the thing you do.
Well, yeah.
Bell. But obviously, I didn't have a bell, physical bell to ring. So yeah, I rang the bell, and it was great news. and I was chuffed to bits with it, and to finally close the door on that chapter.
Yeah, what a relief.
But with dealing with the after effects, that I kind of got in my head a bit. Basically, the after effects is how do you put this, PC? How do you put this nicely? Not everything works how it used to or how it should do. Incontinence, you struggle with for the first year. You struggle with
Right.
with keeping. If I have to go, I have to go, and it just
Yeah.
only once did I actually just go.
Okay.
I went online. I bought myself a disabled key. I don't need any disabled treatment other than if I need the toilet and there's a queue for that toilet, I'm going in that one because I haven't got the option of waiting
Yeah.
for waiting 5 minutes in a queue because I can't hold it. So
No.
I bought a disabled key. You can buy them online. They're only £6-7 and worth every penny. Saved me a few times. Only once I've actually just gone, and luckily that was I was driving home from work. I usually go before I leave work, and then I'm good for the 20 minutes it takes me to drive home. But that time I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't, and I got halfway home and thought, what do I do? So
Yeah.
I cleaned the car out when I got home. But that's the only.
My dad had he was given a disabled key for the toilets. He had MND, so he was he struggled with incontinence as well, and he had a few accidents and stuff, and it can be very difficult and frustrating. How do you deal with that on a daily basis? Like, is it a real like inconvenience for you, or do you just prepare now, like before you leave somewhere?
Don't pass the toilet without going.
You don't know,
Don't pass the toilet without going.
I see.
So but I mean, I've got it.
You take the opportunity.
I've got it under control now. Because the prostate is the muscle, and it sits just above your willy, and it controls the flow going out, and it's the muscle that controls, and it also controls the blood flow going into your willy. So it helps it get up.
Right.
It helps it control the if you need a wee when you clench because you need a wee and you don't want to go. That's what you're using.
Yeah.
So I've had to retrain.
I
There is a smaller muscle, which is what the prostate attaches to. There is a smaller muscle just above your urethra, is the word I'm looking for, and that is what I've retrained. So I can now hold it.
Right.
So I've come out the other side.
So you've learned to use this other small muscle that you wouldn't have used before.
Yeah. When you
Wow.
when you can do it now. When you do pelvic floor muscle training, that's what you're training is that other muscle when you're doing the pelvic.
Oh, really?
You can sit down, you can clench it yourself now, and that's what you have to do. You have to do pelvic floor exercises, and that's
right. So there is still a little bit of a struggle you go through, even though you're now cancer free. Your lifestyle, there is still a day thing that you have to.
Really, the only impact I've got now that I've left with cancer is, I can't rise to the occasion without help. If you understand.
Yeah.
I now take, if I need dental things, I take pills or to help me rise to the occasion. That's the only downside of choosing.
Well, I think that's quite a common condition anyway, if I'm honest. I think a lot of people, I think alcohol can prevent that, and there can be lots of lifestyle factors that people are struggling with.
And there's help out there for everything you need it.
Yeah. I
mean, I've got an appointment next week. I call her the dick doctor, the lady that I go and see. And I've got an appointment in February, and I'm going to be asked to be taken off the list now, and let me crack on. The only thing I need is I've got a prescription for the pills that I use, and that's the only reason I've got to go and see her every 6 months is to get the prescription updated.
Right. Yeah. So when you got the all clear and you knew that you were healthy, what did you do? What did you go on to do from that point on?
Well, I
How were you feeling? What was the
I
move?
will. I struggled at first. I was struggling with my mental health. I went inside myself a bit. I became angry at everything, and I started taking it out. There was no real reason for it. It was just myself, and I was reading too much into everything. It's because I was overanalyzing everything. So I made the point with my doctor to just see if there's anything I could do. But in between getting my appointment and making my appointment, I spoke to a gentleman. He's called the Hiking Viking, on Facebook, and he had. That thought he wasn't even. I didn't speak to him. It was just the name, the Hiking Viking, and that's what I thought. Well, maybe I should try and do something. I thought maybe I should give something back to prostate cancer. They help. So I thought I'll go and do something. So I did a little bit of research about what you can do for charity, what I could do, and I saw a South Downs Way. Sorry, I'm just getting an audience. I saw a South Downs Way advertisement for the Gurkhas, and it was 100 miles to raise money for the Gurkhas. I love the Gurkhas, but I wasn't going to raise money for them. I wanted to raise money for Prostate Cancer UK. So I looked at the route they were taking. It was a 100-mile walk called South Downs Way from Winchester all the way down to Eastbourne, and it's a bang on 100 miles. I thought I could do that. I could have a go at that. I mean, I've never done any hiking before. I've never done anything like that before, and I thought I could do that. I could have a go at that. So I bought. I went on Facebook Marketplace, and I bought a rucksack for £10 and a pair of hiking boots for £6, I think it was. And I went for a little walk around where I live in Gosport. I went up Brown Down Beach and around back through Leon Solent, about 7 miles. And I came back and thought, I really enjoyed that. And my head started clearing. Because I was out on my own. It clears your head. So then I did another training one, and then I slowly started doing research on YouTube. And I'm watching people on YouTube doing the South Downs Way. A Cool Dudes Club is a good one to watch. He's very funny. And I thought, and then the guy who does the Cool Dudes Club, he's of a larger frame, like myself, because I'm not the slimmest of people. So I thought, if he could do it, I could definitely do it. And that's what I did. And I just researched it. I went online, and I bought books. The books aren't expensive. You can buy them secondhand on eBay. I think £4. I think I used for the map. The map I used was. So you don't need to have a wealth of money. I mean, don't get me wrong. The more expensive gear you buy generally is the better gear, but you don't need all that expensive gear. You can do with a backpack, a tent, and a sleeping bag. Job done.
Yeah,
and that's what I did. So I raised £1,890 for Prostate Cancer UK.
brilliant.
The last night I stayed in the field, and then all I could hear outside the tent was a grass being pulled up. And I thought, what the hell is that? It's like 2 a.m. So I poked my head out my tent, and there was a cow literally from 2 meters away from me eating grass. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So I got on Google, will a cow eat my tent? So I was
Will a cow eat my tent? I had an experience with a fox when I was camping once. So I was actually quite frightened.
Yeah,
I thought the fox was going to.
I thought I was going to get trampled on by a cow. What Google said, it said they won't touch you. They won't go nowhere near you as long as you've got all your food inside and packed away. They won't go anywhere near you. But if you are worried, there was a little button that you can press at the bottom of this YouTube channel, and it brought the little button, and it brought up a YouTube page of a high pitched sound, and I pressed the button, the sound came on, and it was just like cat scarer sound, really high pitched sound, and then you could all the cow moving away from me, and that was it. And that was it. I didn't hear it.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. So 100 miles is a big chunk of distance for someone that is not used to hiking. So that obviously you're looking for that challenge. So you want to push yourself, like obviously within what you feel like you can do, but it's going to challenge you to the most, But how did you said you went out for a small hike before that? Did you do a few small hikes or just one?
I did 7 miles first, just around my local area in a big loop. And then I got my wife to drop me off about 10 miles away, and I walked back. And then I work 17 miles away. And so then every Friday I was walking back from work easily. And there's a couple of routes. I did one route which is about 23 miles and one route to 17. So I did the 17 mile a couple of times, and then I did the 23. But walking,
that's good.
It's good. It's good. That's good for breaking in your boots, getting your feet ready to walk, because that
and improving your fitness as well. You have to improve your fitness.
It not only improves your fitness, but it improves your mental fitness as well, because you understand that actually you can do this.
It builds momentum. You complete a small hike, like a small walk. Yeah. You realise you've just walked 7 miles, which is probably more than you've walked before, and you think, wow, let's do 10, let's do 14, let's do 100.
Yeah, and that's it. The only thing I hadn't practiced was a walk with a camp out. So a walk, then a camp, then a walk.
Yeah.
I did try and do it, but every time I done it, I ended up just walking home. There wasn't anywhere where I could comfortably be close enough to home to camp out.
Yeah.
And then if I failed, have someone come and get me, but still do it. But
so you plough straight in on that with the 100 miles.
Was 4. I thought I'll do 10, 15 miles sleep, but then by the time I come to sleep, I was in Fareham, or and I knew my way home. I'll just do it. Let's just go home. And
Lee, how did you feel whilst you were out there hiking from day to day, knowing that you were going to have probably 5 to 7 days out there on your own? You did it alone.
Alone, yeah.
How did you feel? Like, what was going on in your mind?
It was, to be honest, I wanted to slow down and come back again. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. To the stage where I'm now planning on doing the same walk with my 13-year-old son. That's what the disturbance was. My son's just bringing in little boxes. He knows what's in there. It's his new hiking boots. And we're
so you've inspired him straight away.
On the 7th of September, we're both going to Winchester train station. And starting the walk again. Well, I'm only doing the first 2 days. So we're going from Winchester to Cocking, and then there's a car at Cocking where we can get picked up. And so we're doing the first 35 miles. And we're going to do that. We're going to go on the Friday, after school. So we'll only get 5-6 miles. We're setting up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'll only get 5-6 miles done the first day, and then try and do 2 sets of 15 to try and get to Cocking car park. Then where we'll get picked up, and he's 13, and he's seen me. I've sent videos home every day of various things, and he's watched the videos. I mean, there's my next door neighbour, Poppy. Hello, Poppy. And she's only 5 or 6, and the day after I got back, she knocked the door and she said, "I've saved my pocket money this week to put towards your the money your fund that you're raising for," and it just melted my heart.
That's lovely. There you go. You don't know who you're inspiring, do you? By doing things you don't know.
The videos I put out on Facebook, and the one where I was struggling the most got the most views. I think it hit like 3,000 views. Right. And that was the one where I was struggling the most. Where it was the morning of where the rain. I hadn't eaten. I was stuck under a tree. It was raining, and I was like, I'm shattered. And people were texting me saying, "Are you okay? You know, if you don't think you're going to complete, then don't complete." I went, "No, I've got to go. I've got just crack on." And I'm so glad I did.
You say you loved it while you were out there hiking. Why exactly did you love it?
Just being out there on your own. I would thoroughly recommend doing it. If you're going to do it, have a go on your own first, because the views are phenomenal. The feeling of a self-accomplishment of doing it as well. I mean, I'm sitting there preaching, doing it your own. I can't wait to get Albie out there as well. And I know he'll love it. Me and him went up to the Devil's Punch Bowl, which is just around the corner, and which is a big hole in the ground, and it goes up and down, and the feeling of exercise you get, you thought it's a natural high, isn't it? And that feeling of adrenaline and self-accomplishment that you get when doing these things, it's phenomenal.
So, Lee, what are your future plans now? I know you're saying you're going to take your son back to do the South Downs Way. Have you got any other plans for the future?
Yeah, I want to get my son through the South Downs Way over stages. So doing 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, or 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, whatever we can squeeze in. So I want to get Albie through the South Downs Way. Also, my uncle Matthew lives in Tamworth near Birmingham. And he also wants to come out with do a walk. And his wife bought him the gear to go hiking 5-6 years ago, and he's never used it. And after I'd done the walk, he phoned me up and says, I really want to come out on a walk. Is there one that we can come together? I said, well, why don't we walk we'll try and find a route from Tamworth all the way down to Gosport. So from north of Birmingham, straight down. Now, it's a hell of a trek, so it's taking a chunk of work out work, so I'm going to push it on to next year. But yeah, that's the plan. Is for next year is to do from Tamworth down to Gosport.
Wow. How many miles is that?
It's about 170. So it's about...
Wow, so you're pushing yourself more than... Yeah.
About a 10-day hike. And he was talking... Because initially when I was on he, bless him, he said, "Oh, we'll go from hotel to hotel." I went, no. That's not hiking. We'll go from one place to another, then we'll see wherever we land. I'd like to do the coast to coast route up north, which is from Manchester or that area, Liverpool area, across to Newcastle.
Yeah. I want to do that one as well, funny enough. I've had that on my list now for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's on my...
And they're just about to link the coast to coast, a national trail as well.
National trail.
They've been working on it over the last 3 or 4 years. I think it's going to be completed in 2025. That, I believe, is about 193 miles, 193
miles, yeah.
And the thing is, if you hadn't have completed the South Downs Way of 100, you'd never be doing this Birmingham to Tamworth walk of 170, or even thinking about doing the coast to coast.
No, wouldn't even cross my mind. I wouldn't even know that it was there, if I'm honest.
So that's so important lesson as well, isn't it? That if we push ourselves just a little bit more than we're capable of, that can lead to so much more, because we're just constantly improving on what we're doing.
Anyone thinking about hiking, then I would definitely, first thing I would do is direct them to YouTube. An ice cream van set up, and I bought a Clipper with a full fat Coke, and I did a video, and you could see the energy just coming into my body as I was drinking this full fat Coke and eating this Clipper, and the difference from the start.
It's like you're on survival mode, isn't it? You're on survival mode, and like you just grab whatever you can. It puts a massive smile on your face when you find it.
It's the simple things, and the simple thing like a bench. The South Downs doesn't have a lot of benches on there, which is fine. Backpack, I got to took a backpack and sat on that. But when you find an actual bench, you think, wow, I'm sitting down on a bench.
So this is the other thing in Guangzhou, isn't it? Is the appreciation of the basic stuff in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then on the last day, when you get down to the end, the last day was both the best day and the worst day, I found. I mean, I did it from Winchester to Eastbourne specifically for that last day. That was the reason. I knew what I knew it was about. That the Seven Sisters at the end and Beachy Head at the end, it was tough, really tough. I mean,
you don't have to tell me.
Yeah, you know, it's tough, isn't it? You just walk all that way, and then you've got them Seven Sisters and Beachy Head to get over.
What an ending!
What an ending! It's the most beautiful part of this country. At the day, then it was anyway. And you go up, down, up and down, up and down, and then to finally get down that last hill and touch that post. I've got that, and also that was my biggest regret, because on that last, obviously got a picture, as you do, get a picture touching the final stone, and you could see in my face on that picture, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm glad that's over. But oh my God, I'm sad that's over. And that's what I when I look at that picture, that's what I feel. I feel I'm glad that's done. But oh my God, that's done. What do you do now? Yeah, that I was so happy that it was over, but I wanted to do it again. And I would have, if I'd had the time off work, I would have just turned around and walked back, I think.
Yeah, this is where you then need to take that and do something else, isn't it? Like you're doing with the Birmingham hike, and to basically that's the start of your hiking journey. So it's all about now pushing yourself into all. There's like so many national trails in Great Britain as well.
There's so many. I mean, there's a northbound way as well. There's the Thames. Yeah. There's a Thames way. There's the South Coast way, which goes right past my house. You know. There's a gentleman on TikTok now who's walking the coast of the UK, and he's he's doing it in slow time. He's got all the time in the world. He's just doing it in slow time. But yeah, and it's such an exhilarating and fun thing to do. So yeah, get yourself on YouTube, get yourself watching other people doing these hikes.
Yeah, so if there's anybody listening that doesn't they're not sure whether getting out hiking on their own and camping is going to have that great effect on their mental health and well-being and happiness and joy and accomplishment, give it a go. Just try it. Buy yourself a £10 rucksack like Lee has, some £15 boots, and go out on a day hike for 7 miles and just see how you feel.
It is great for exploration as well. I mean, on the practice hikes we done, I was walking back from Eastleigh, and I went through a cow field, and I popped out this little cottage, and I thought, this is the right way, but I checked my map, yeah, definitely the right way. And I went literally through the middle of somebody's garden. It was a white path, and the gentleman was there cutting his grass. And I stopped there for 10 minutes, had a little chat with him, and he was so proud of his little cottage. It had gone through and a little river going through it where he'd cut the grass, and he told me that he was building a bridge from here to there, and he was so proud of it. And I would never have known it was there. I didn't even have a clue the village was there, let alone that little hut.
Yeah,
we live in a beautiful, beautiful country with loads of amazing people in it, and get out there, and that would be it. Go and speak to these people, because they all want to speak to you.
And do you know what I found as well? That the people you pass on the national trails or out in the countryside hiking, it's like everyone's their best version of themselves. Everyone's positive and friendly and talkative, and you've all got something in common.
Everyone's happy to be where they are, and that makes a massive difference. I know people down south get the stigma of not being very chatty about when they're out and about. The northerners always come down and say, no, don't talk to them. But that's because they might be upset because they're going to work. They might be upset because they're going to the bank or anything like that. But when you're out on a hike or out on a walk, everyone's where they want to be. So everyone's in the best frame of mind. Everyone's in happy.
Absolutely,
Everyone,
100%.
if you're
Yeah,
going the
that's
same
that.
way as you're going the same way as somebody, you know, you could talk to them for 5-10 minutes while they overtake you, or you're overtaking them. Or if you're going in the opposite direction, then you're going to talk about what they've got ahead of each other. So everyone's got something to talk about. Everyone's got something in common, and everyone wants to be. Everyone is where to be. So everyone was lovely. Even the people, when you're walking through, I was walking through a village, and it was early in the morning. It was 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and there was a lady outside of a pub watering the plants. And I stopped and chatted to her. We said hello. We were talking about the pub and the village, and obviously nothing was open. But she took all my water bottles into the pub, filled them all up with me with nice fresh cold water. She came out with a sausage roll as well, and gave me a sausage roll. And it was, people were lovely, and this country is full of lovely people. And to get around it would be my goal.
Lee, your story is really inspiring. From overcoming your cancer scare, the positive mindset you had, not just by initially going and getting checked, but overcoming, the way you approached it, to think, look, it's not a death sentence. This is overcomeable, and the influence you had on your family to display that positivity towards them, so that they jumped on board your positivity ship with it, and they didn't worry themselves. That's a really great approach and inspiring for other people to take. And then the fact that you're pushing yourself into these hiking challenges, keeping positive, trying to grow in your fitness and your challenges. It's great for you to come on the podcast and share your story. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners would have really enjoyed listening to your outlook on this.
The two things I would stress about it is, one, anybody over the age of 40, go and get tested. It's just a little tiny blood test. It's nothing to be scared of. It's not the finger up the hooter that everyone thinks it is. It's really not. To go and get tested, it doesn't matter. At least then you're not worried about am I? Because I'm not. I am. And the second thing is if you're thinking about going hiking, do it. Do it. Get yourself on YouTube. There's loads. Like I mentioned, the Cool Dudes. He was brilliant. And the other one was Hayes. Ben Hayes hiking. He was
Hayes Outdoors.
Hayes Outdoors. That's it. And he is brilliant. He talks about the mental mental benefits of getting yourself out there. He's obviously sponsored. He's got lots of good gear. But he also got, if you watch a few of his other videos, he goes through how to do it on a budget, how to do it with not so great gear. So yeah, he's very good. And there's a few. And once you start going down the rabbit hole of watching the South Downs Way walks, you'll find plenty more. And listen to the advice that they give you. That's what I did.
Brilliant. I mean, my last question for you, Lee, was, what's one piece of advice that you'd give listeners? But I think you've just basically said it. If you're over 40,
get tested.
There's no harm in getting yourself tested. And if you're thinking about going hiking, just get out there and do it.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it doesn't have to be 100 miles, does it? It doesn't. You could do 5 miles down your local, down your local beach for me, or down your local park, or down your local woods, or even if just go and get lost somewhere in your local village, in your local town. You might come across something you've never seen before. You might meet somebody you never met before. You just Carl Wilkinson says your feet don't know where you're going until they get there, and what a great little thing to think of.
Right saying. Lee, thank you very much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate it, because it's an up-and-coming podcast, brand new for me, and I really appreciate you coming on to help me grow this podcast. And the most important thing is to share your story with other people, so that they can help take something from it and apply it in their own lives to improve themselves, improve their life, and improve the way they have an outlook on a problem as well, and a health scare or a challenge. Just having that positive mindset, that's what you come across as having, is a positive mindset. You like to challenge yourself, and thank you very much for coming on and sharing that with the listeners. I'm sure there's going to be someone here who can take real benefit from this, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, Lee. Have a great rest of the day.
And you, take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
mate.